All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith and Richie. We are doing our live show today at Cigar 30 right now in Canton, Ohio. How is everybody doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Duke. How about yourself?
Good.
Good, man. I'm doing great. It's a great Saturday. Got a lot of college football to go over here. Really pumped up, man. We're out here. Got some guys hanging out in the members lounge, smoking a cigar, enjoying a drink, watching some college football, man. It's a wonderful Saturday. Out here at Cigar 30 in Canton, Ohio. If you're in the area, pull up. There's no reason not to be here. Tell them you're with the podcast. You can get into the members lounge. You don't have to be a member. And the Cigar 30, man, I'm really impressed by what this place is. I mean, this is really cool. They got a nice lounge in here, TVs everywhere. Got a full bar with a great bourbon selection, and went into the humidor, picked out a couple cigars. There's excellent selection. Richie was telling me they've been around since 2021. It's a really cool location, man. How'd you find out about it, Rich?
So I was driving around, being from the area, I would try to frequent local cigar establishments, and I saw this place was opening up in the summer of 21. I was like, finally, the cigar place is opening up. So I popped in one random Saturday after work, came in, got a tour of the place, bought a couple sticks, and I've been coming ever since. Been a loyal customer since summer of 21.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Family-owned business. They treat everybody great. It's a great place to come out, chill out, hang with guys, talk ball.
Yeah.
Time goes fast in here, but it's always a good time.
Yeah.
I've never had a bad experience here. So come on out and support this local establishment, everybody. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're ever in the Canton area, I definitely recommend stopping by. It's 10 minutes from the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
10 minutes from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Kill two birds with one stone, and just have a stick and go check out some football history 10 minutes down the road.
Absolutely, man. If I had more time, I'd definitely be doing that. But anyways, got a lot of college football to go over today. Some games obviously underway. We got Florida and Texas kicked off. They are currently tied, nothing. Ohio State, Purdue just kicked off. And this one with Miami and Georgia Tech looking like it might be a little bit of a shootout. We're less than 4 minutes into the game, or just over 3 minutes into the game, and it's already tied 7-7. Do you think the Ramblin' Wreck can keep up with that high-flying offense down there in Miami?
Well, if any indication of what happens whenever Miami and Georgia Tech get together, it is a very, very interesting endeavor, like the way last year ended. Mario just take a knee. So that is
just take a knee.
just take a knee.
Yeah, that's all he had to do. That's all he had to do.
All he had to do last
year. But they don't have their starting. I don't believe their starting quarterback's back. Is he?
I'm not sure if Haynes King.
Yeah,
I think it was somebody else that was starting. I think his name was
Pine. Okay. Well, yeah. So it'll be interesting there. No, Haynes King has one rush, so he is back in. Surprise, surprise. No passing so far for Georgia Tech, but interesting game there. A lot of interesting games to go over. Obviously, Ohio State, Purdue. I think that's one that we all expect Ohio State to come out and really put it on them, right? This has to be a game where Ohio State flexes their muscles and really just
beats them into submission.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta lay a beat down, right? Like we haven't seen Ohio State really dominate in a few weeks. They obviously had a tight game with Nebraska when everybody thought Nebraska would get mopped, right? I mean, they got beat 56-7 by Indiana and then came into the horseshoe and damn near beat Ohio State.
Real close.
So I think you need to go out there. If you're an Ohio State fan, which I know, Richie, you are, Duke is as well, what do you guys want to see today? Like, what are you looking for from the Ohio State Buckeyes?
G. Scott not drop the ball on third down. That's what I would like to see.
That's always good.
I like to see how well this offensive line meshes with their second game, being in the rotation with Donovan Jackson outside, left tackle. See how well we can establish the run game with the two tailbacks at Q and Trey. And hopefully, let Will Howard light it up, throw it deep.
Yeah. Good.
One last thing, on a more of a serious note, I would just like to see cohesion on the offensive side of the ball, because I feel like the last couple of games you've seen Will Howard, it's, as the competition and the level has rose. I'm not, and a lot of people may take this the wrong way. I'm not downing Will Howard, but I'm just saying as the competition rises, his play kind of just stays steady, and I feel like he needs to take that next step on building towards what Ohio State is wanting to do on a trajectory that's trending upwards, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Will Howard needs to have a big day. When you look at this, like you said, Rich, as far as running the ball, I want to see Ohio State go out and just shove it down their throats.
Right.
Like, go out there and flex. You guys are bigger, tougher, faster. Like, go out there and put it on them.
Yeah, show some physicality with those big boys up front.
Yeah.
Push them around like rag dolls.
Well,
establish your dominance with Purdue.
Yeah, and like Ohio State ran for almost 180 yards last week against Penn State, and Purdue is the 122nd best, I guess, rushing defense in the country, giving up over 200 yards a game. If you can't go out there with the two running backs you have in Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson and just impose your will on that team, like, that's something that I think everybody wants to see, just to give everybody a little bit of, confidence going into, because they really struggled running the ball against Nebraska. Now, obviously, they had Mikowski at tackle for most of the game, and it was kind of a hodgepodge offensive line.
Yeah.
They mixed things up in the Penn State game, and I think they found something with Carson Hinsman at guard, which is crazy to me that he hadn't even seen the field all year. He started 12 games last year at center for you. And center is a much more difficult position to play than guard. If he was your starting center last year, how do you not have him in the mix? Especially when you're dealing with injuries like when Josh Simmons went down. But I think you got to go out there. You got to impose your will. You got to run the ball. And then I want to see Will Howard take some shots downfield. I mean, he's been a good passer, not a great passer, and his deep ball has, left something to be desired. He obviously had the one to Jeremiah Smith last week that Jeremiah kind of stopped his route and it was overthrown. If Jeremiah doesn't kind of slow up, I think he catches it. And then the other one that I've heard it go both ways, the one to Carnell Tate on the sidelines. I've heard quarterback guys say that was an awful throw. Let him right out of bounds. And then I've heard wide receiver guys that I know pretty well tell me that if Carnell Tate doesn't try to go up and high point it, if he tries to catch it over his shoulder, it's a perfect ball. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that ball should have been caught in bounds?
I'm going to lean on the wide receiver side, just for the simple fact of I think that guy knows what he's talking about, and I
don't know about that.
Nah, I trust his judgment on things like that. So it's just at the end of the day, the bigger thing that we need is Ohio State to have more cohesion on offense. In my opinion, because it just, I go back to it, it just seems like they've been out of sorts a little bit, and the offense starts slow, and particularly in the first half. And out of all the major teams I've seen play this year, I believe Ohio State and Tennessee are the two teams that start slow in the first half, but they pick it up in the second half. But, when it comes to a team like Purdue, you're talented at every position across the board, no matter what. But whenever it comes to games like these, I feel like you cannot let teams hang around. Go out there and finish the job early in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. And an update, it looks like Ohio State got the ball and punted already. So a little bit of that slow start that you're talking about, right? Not moving the ball super effectively. Will Howard had 32 yards passing, and Quinshon has 2 yards rushing. So not exactly the start you were looking for if you're Ohio State on offense. We spent a lot of time talking about the offense, but I do want to touch on the defense a little bit, because I think the defense had their most impressive performance I've seen under Jim Knowles last weekend. Giving up only 6 points to Penn State, and Penn State's offense is not necessarily a world beater by any means, but it is a competent offense, right? They have two of the best running backs in college football, a duo that a lot of people would compare to Quinshon and Trey, as well as they have an experienced quarterback who Ohio State's defense made look pretty pedestrian. Drew Aller did not impress me in that game. What do you want to see out of this defense today if you're an Ohio State fan?
I want to see him getting after the quarterback. Get him rattled. establish their dominance and will upon that Purdue offense because, they're not really world beaters either. They haven't really been putting up points. They've been getting outbeat every single game. I just want to see more physicality from the defense, especially from the front four, in my opinion. I also want to see the linebackers go full tilt, rip some heads off, and make some big plays. I want to see Caleb Downs have an amazing game like he did last week at Penn State. Ball hawk.
Yeah, and I echo that sentiment. They need to get after the quarterback, and it's a three-phase game, and Ohio State's got to play solid special teams like we just seen. So I feel like this could be one of those games that like a get-right game. The defense can put it together, the offense can put it together, and they can establish who the better team is by far.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is these next 2 weeks are really important for Ohio State, I think. You got 2 games to essentially get that offensive line to play as a cohesive unit. They played really well against Penn State, but you have Purdue and Northwestern. And then after you're done with that, you go into the gauntlet. I mean, you're going into Indiana, who I think we all know is a formidable team this year. Whether or not you think they're battle tested or anything like that, they've proven that they can compete and that they can win. And then obviously you have the final game of the year with the team up north. And that game, I don't care how bad Michigan is this year, and I think they are really bad.
And their number one goal this year is they want to spoil Ohio State's season just like every year.
Yeah.
They want to ruin Ohio State's season. They want to prevent them from going to the Big Ten championship in Indy. It's not what people are going to think. I think they're going to play their best game because they want to play spoiler at the end of the month.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously you finish up with Indiana and Michigan. 2 games that you have to take very seriously. Obviously, I think Ryan Day understands the Michigan rivalry a little bit better after losing 3 in a row. That you can't take that game like any other game. That's a different game. And then after that, assuming everything goes well, you got to travel to Indianapolis the next weekend to take on the number 1 team in the country, and a team that beat you already once this year. And then if you win that, you get a bye, which is great. Or if you lose that, you're probably still in the playoffs, and then you got to get ready and you got to get prepared to go on a playoff run. I mean, you look at it, they could potentially play 9 more games.
Yeah,
right.
And so after these 2, that's 7 games of real big boy football that they're going to have to play. And so I think you need to use these 2 weeks to get right, like you guys said, and also to establish some things and just really reinforce your belief in this team. And so I think you got to go out there, and it's starting slow. And it looks like they're 4th and goal on the 1-yard line right now. We'll see if they. I think you go for it here, right?
Yeah, you got to punch it in.
Yeah.
Type Pro 23, punch it in.
Yeah.
Give it to Q or Shrey.
I think if Urban Meyer could make the call right here, you know what he's doing.
He's running it right up the center's ass.
QB power, baby. Get Will Howard's big ass moving.
All brown eye the center.
Yeah. So we'll see what they do here.
And
Touchdown.
Touchdown. None other than Will Howard.
William Howard.
It almost looked like Urban Meyer was out there calling the plays. I got to tell you.
He might have rated it into Ryan Day over the press box.
He's sitting there on the big noon kickoff set, like texting Ryan, like, you better run this fucking quarterback.
Run this shit right now. Run it.
JT Barrett it right now.
32X right now.
But so Ohio State goes up 6-0, hopefully 7-0 if the kicker can do his job. But other games we got going on today, Florida, Texas. We got Texas up 7-0, just almost the end of the first quarter there. Everybody knows my feelings on Florida. I think we beat that into submission. Quinn Ewers with a nice 30-yard pass to get the touchdown. Quinn Ewers started out the day 6 of 8 for 82 yards and a touchdown. Is Quinn Ewers back?
That is a good question. I think when it comes to Quinn Ewers, we gotta see the full game, the full potential, because you look at it, it's one drive, but hopefully Quinn Ewers is back. But on the other side of the coin is that if they come out and they have a couple of flat drives, does Sarkisian pull the trigger and go with Arch Manning?
Yeah, I mean, that obviously we've seen him do it once, right? We've seen him pull Quinn from a game that he was struggling in, and so that leads you to believe that Sark understands the gravity of the situation. He knows that this team is in a position to make a run at the national championship. And if Arch Manning gives him the best chance at that, I don't think he gives a shit what NIL money Quinn Ewers has or anything like that. I think he knows this is his best chance to win a national title is this year. Right now, with the offensive line they have, they're banged up at running back. With the defense they have, I think so it all comes down to the quarterback for Texas. I think quarterback play is obviously the most important thing in football. And you're seeing it at Georgia and at Texas, where mediocre quarterback play can really put you in a bad spot. So Quinn looks like he is getting right today against Florida, which is a great team to get right against. It's almost like playing Purdue.
You brought up the NIL and the expectation with some of those things like that, and I think at the end of the day, a lot of the people have to realize that some of the stuff going on with NIL, the coaches are paid to win games at the end of the day. They talk about NFL development and the laundry list of things, but if you ask somebody like Lane Kiffin what he thinks about so-and-so getting X amount of dollars, well, you need to pay him. Well, if the kid can't play, that's on the collective. It's not on the coach. It's on the collective. And they're the ones that decide on who gets paid. And, the coaches at the end of the day are the ones that determine the playing time. But if I'm a coach that is making $10 million a year, I'm going to play the guy that's going to win me games, because me being employed over anything is the most important. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think until NIL collectives are ready to pony up to pay me when I get fired, I don't care who you paid. So we'll see. We'll monitor that one. Miami just went up 10-7 on Georgia Tech. A lot of good football going on here. Let's see here. What else we got? Minnesota's up 6-0 on 6-6 with Rutgers. I know everybody out there is really interested in that NBC barn burner that is Rutgers and Minnesota.
Row the boat, baby. Row the boat.
Row the boat. Now we're chopping wood over here. It's Rutgers all day, baby. Go ahead.
Real quick to add for the Florida-Texas game, Lagway is not playing.
Yeah.
He is out. So I think that's a pretty good indication of how that day might turn up, but you never know. We may, you can't rule anything out. That's why they play the games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Billy Napier made a smart business decision in not starting Lagway today, because he just got that, kiss of death, the vote of confidence from the athletic director and the president and everything, saying that he is going to be the coach next year, which is funny. A lot of times when schools say that, they turn around and fire the guy. But he got that vote of confidence, and so what's one way you could lose that confidence? That's to go out and start Lagway and get blown out by Texas. So if you start your backup quarterback, say Lagway isn't healthy, then you can at least say, well, I mean, we had our backup quarterback. Come on.
Well, also, how many programs out there in the SEC are starting three their third string guy? That's something that Florida has been hit by the injury bug. If you look up and down their roster and completely go through it and look at how many guys they had healthy coming into the year and how many guys that are out, they're down to the third quarterback loss. Graham Mertz, like week 4 for the year. No Graham Mertz, no DJ Lagway. Well, how many programs out there depending on the third string scout team quarterback guy to take meaningful snaps in the SEC play? That is a huge,
it's a tall task.
That's a huge thing to me, and all the Florida fans want to go wild and say, we need to fire Billy. Well, here's the other thing. You have the revenue sharing coming in, and I know we've talked about this, the revenue sharing coming in, and you have a young quarterback that's a great prospect, and you wanna try to upset the apple cart because you think you're going to get somebody better, and I don't think Lane Kiffin's coming.
Yeah.
I don't think he's coming either.
No, I don't think so. As far as the third string quarterback thing goes, I mean, not to bring it up, but I happen to know a team that had a third string quarterback go win a conference championship 59-0 and take them in the first college football playoffs to the national title. So is that really an excuse?
I think that Ohio State program was in a better position than what
You think?
2024 Florida is right now. I mean,
maybe just a tad.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, their third string quarterback didn't come there to play school, all right?
Yeah, exactly. Or let kids win an NCAA.
No, how disrespectful, It was 93-7 at the end of the third quarter, not at the end of the game.
Exactly.
But that's good stuff. And then Navy's up 14-0 on South Florida.
Come on, Bulls.
My guy Golish, the Dublin kid, straight out of Dublin, Scioto. Shout out Dublin, Ohio. Not getting it done against the Navy midshipmen right now. It doesn't matter. Golish is still my GOAT because of how he treated Tom Herman. That was awesome. You got Texas State up 7-0 on UL Monroe. You know who the coach of UL Monroe is?
Brian Vincent.
Yeah. I like to test you a little bit here and there. But it's a lot of fun games going on here on the noon kickoff. Looking forward a little bit to the 3:30 games, some of the afternoon games here. One of the biggest ones we've talked about a little bit here, and I think this one is going to be really interesting. It is Georgia taking on Ole Miss in Mississippi. At the Grove. Really, for Lane Kiffin and that Ole Miss team, this is a playoff game. This is if you want to stay alive, you have to beat Georgia.
Really, Carter, we have two playoff games going on today with the 7:30 LSU, Alabama. This is what the TV networks are, anticipating for. Ohio State is a big draw. At noon,
Mm-hmm.
They got the noon game, but whenever you look at the 3:30 game, would you rather watch Georgia Ole Miss, or would you rather watch whatever Big Ten game?
Michigan, Indiana.
Ooh,
I don't know. I kind of like that Michigan, Indiana.
But that is that's what they make multi-view for. So we have plenty of great football action on today. Yeah. But you have two pseudo playoff games between Alabama, LSU. And then you have, Ole Miss, Georgia. Ole Miss, Georgia. A lot of the experts, quote unquote experts, are writing off Georgia and taking Ole Miss because they're at home. I love the Revs, but it's tough. But give me the Dogs and Kirby all day. Give me the Dogs and Kirby.
What's that coming down the track?
Yes. It is the Mean Machine in red and black. That is for sure.
Nothing finer in the land.
Yes.
But. Yeah, you look at that right now. Georgia's favored by 2.5, even though it is in Mississippi. However, the matchup predictor, which it's ESPN Analytics, take it for what it's worth. But they do have Ole Miss has a 54% chance of winning that game. When you look at that game, I looked at it pretty closely. I've watched both teams numerous times because of the big games they've had, and obviously the Ole Miss loss to Kentucky gets pinned as kind of a bad loss. That Kentucky team's not bad, first of all. Second of all, I don't know if you remember that game, guys, but they were winning the whole game. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the game, it was 4th and 14. And they tossed up a bomb, and they got a pass interference call. And that's really what shifted the game in Kentucky's favor. So you could be looking at an 8-1 Mississippi team right now had they not got that call. Well, and I think that looks a little different.
I'll do you one better with Kentucky. A lot of people are down on them. If Kentucky doesn't get blown out by South Carolina and everybody is down, they play Georgia really, really tough. So if you would have had a Kentucky team that beat Georgia and Ole Miss, imagine the momentum swing that they would have going forward, because everybody would be saying Kentucky. Could you imagine a world where Kentucky and Indiana are in the college football playoff, 2 basketball schools? I think that would be
That's
unbelievable.
chaos.
Absolute chaos. And the thing that Kentucky who's Kentucky play this week? They play, I don't remember. Anyways, the thing with Kentucky is I never know what Kentucky team's going to show up, right? Because you have those 2 games where they beat Ole Miss, they almost beat Georgia, then they go and lose by 28 to Florida and lose by like 28 to South Carolina. And it's like, okay, something's not right here. And Ole Miss was on the road. They were in Mississippi for that game at the Grove, and they hung around and got it done. And Vandergriff was not great, but he got the job done. And so you look at this Georgia game, I mean, it could potentially come down to who has the better quarterback. And I don't think I'm alone in saying this. Jackson Dart is a better quarterback than Carson Beck.
Carson Beck's turned the ball over too many times this year.
As far as the numbers go, but the one, retaining thing with Carson Beck is that he may complete a lot of passes, but not to his own team.
Right.
Well, yeah, he's second in the country in a bad way in interceptions, right? He has 11 picks. The only person who has more interceptions thrown this year, you know who that is? It's the Honda himself.
Oh, yes.
Honda McCord up there in Syracuse.
Sacked
himself at the end of the game. Yeah, Honda McCord is leading the nation in interceptions with 12 interceptions right now. Carson Beck not far behind with 11. You look at Jackson Dart, so just to compare the two, obviously Ole Miss has an extra game, right? They haven't had their bye yet, so they played 9. Georgia's played 8, but Jackson Dart has 3,200 yards, 21 touchdowns, 3 picks. Carson Beck, 2,300 yards, 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I think that is where you'll find the difference in this game. If it's close, if the Ole Miss defense can cause problems for Carson Beck, I think Jackson Dart is the difference maker in this game.
Yes. And one of the things that go into this game really heavy for me is that whenever Carson Beck decides to air it out, and you're an Ole Miss DB and he throws it to you, just catch it.
That's all you gotta do. 2 hands, lock it in.
Yeah, don't be Kyle Hamilton out there bobbling it when Jameis throws it right to you to end the game.
Exactly.
But outside of man, dude, that was. I'll tell you what, and not to get on a tangent here. I don't follow the NFL as closely, but I am a Browns fan, so I do have a miserable Sunday every week. But Jameis, and you know this better than anybody.
Oh, yeah, I know this better than anybody.
But Jameis came in, and I mean, he threw 3 balls against the Ravens that were right to the Ravens, and they dropped all 3. And then the following week, he followed it up by throwing 3 balls directly to the Chargers, and they caught all 3. And so, if you have a quarterback that just throws it to the other team, it's really hard to win.
And I thought he had his eyes fixed.
Yeah, that
When
LASIK surgery,
when
he
was down in
might need
Tampa,
it again.
33 for 30. Mike, just throw it up. Mike Evans will get it.
I mean,
Shit, who they got thrown to? Clifford Franklin?
Cedric Tillman, man. Get his name right. Cedric Tillman, get it right.
Yeah.
The Tennessee hero. But yeah, my favorite thing is, did you know that Jameis Winston thought Bruce Arians was black?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he said he got his eyes fixed and goes, man, I thought he was black this whole time.
that just lets you know how bad Jameis' vision was.
Yeah, but another 3:30 game we got is a big one for at least one team. We got Michigan, Indiana, which I know we broke down earlier this week a little bit. So I'm not going to go through all the statistics and everything that I looked at to analyze that game, but I it's been a few days. I've had some time to sit on it, and I told you when I broke this game down, I went into breaking this down wanting to find a way for Michigan to win, and I couldn't find it when I did my initial analysis. I couldn't find it when I looked at the stats. I couldn't find it when I looked at the analytics. I just couldn't find any way Michigan wins this game, but there's just something about it, and I can't shake it.
I think they're going to try and play their best ball. Hopefully they get, the quarterback rolling on all cylinders, but we shall see. They got
who's
Mr.
playing
Orgy.
Quarterback? Is it Orgy? Is it Warren?
Is it Tuttle? Who is it?
No, Tuttle retired.
Oh,
Tuttle retired.
He might come out of retirement for this game.
Yeah.
No, he's
But you look at it, I mean, obviously we know Indiana's offense is legit. They have the number 2 offense in the country, scoring wise, and one of the best offenses overall. Going up against what was supposed to be one of the really premier defenses in college football. I still think they have the talent Michigan does on the defensive side to be a good defense. They've just had to deal with injuries, much like Notre Dame, much like some of these other schools, and they haven't put that on paper. Obviously, the passing defense for Michigan has been really subpar. They've been dealing with a lot of injuries in the secondary. Will Johnson's missing time. I believe Will Johnson is back today. I think that's what I had heard earlier this week. If Will Johnson's back, that makes their pass defense much better.
Yep.
And so I think at the end of the day, Michigan's chance to win this game is if they can keep it to below 20 points. If they can win a 17-14 game or something like that. If they give up 20 plus to Indiana, I think they don't have the firepower.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if Indiana can turn it into a shootout, Michigan is in trouble. They just do not have the dogs in the pack to run with the vaunted Indiana Hoosiers.
So you're saying they got some cats, but they don't got. We need more dogs.
Yes,
We need more dogs.
Not
Yes.
puppies.
Not cats,
Dogs.
not puppies. We need dogs.
Mason Graham has to play good too.
Yeah, Mason Graham there on the interior D line.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what he is, right? He's a first round talent.
The kid's a
and
monster.
it's really strange that Will Johnson, I believe, is. I don't think he's playing today.
I thought I heard he was. He's not.
Oh well.
Maybe
but
it changed up last minute. Maybe.
Yeah, I had heard reports early in the week that he was going to be able to go, but that obviously a setback in practice or something like that can change at any moment. My thing with Will Johnson is I think he's hurting his draft stock right now.
Yeah, I think he's going to be.
Not by not playing, by playing. Because he came into the year, and I believe, other than Travis Hunter, Will Johnson was the pretty much consensus number one corner in the country, even maybe over Travis Hunter. And he's played himself out of that position. Benjamin Morrison played himself into the conversation before getting hurt, and now obviously Benjamin Morrison's done for the year. But I don't know if I'm Will Johnson, what are you coming back for?
I mean, at this point, Michigan is staring at 6-6. This is, we've talked about this before, that Michigan, this fall off from a national championship is the only time since like 1966 when Michigan State did it.
Yeah.
They went and won a share of a national championship, and then they went 3-8 the following year. So this is what you're staring at. This is the stark reality, and it's kind of one of those things that regardless of whose ever fault it was with the sign stealer guy, the guy in charge right now, Sharon Moore, is staring at 6-6. He's staring at other things off the field that are going to potentially be a problem that I've heard from some insider people. I would not be shocked if it's a one-hit wonder with the Sharon Moore show up there in Michigan.
So you're saying this could be his last season as head coach?
Could be.
Oh, but between with the things that I'm hearing and the things that I potentially think that are going to happen, I think Sharon Moore is done at the end of the year.
Yep.
It's either going to be it may be by choice or by force.
By hook or by crook, right? But no, I think you nailed it on the head there. This is, I mean, pretty unprecedented for a national champion to fall from grace the way that they have. And for Michigan fans that tune in and like to get in my comments and tell me how stupid I am for saying that the ceiling for this Michigan team was 8-4 preseason.
It's becoming a stark reality.
You already got 4 losses, so the best you can do is 8-4.
Right.
And you got to beat Indiana and Ohio State to do that. So, come at me with that. I got the receipts. Don't worry. I'm going to be right on that one, and I still think I'm going to be right about Florida being 5-7.
They're the best 5-7 team in the nation.
The best one ever, man. I mean, who doesn't want to go 5-7?
That's what you strive for year in, year out.
Hardest-
Going
hardest
13-0.
Hardest schedule in 20 years in the SEC, and potentially could have all of his losses could be all teams ranked in the top 25.
I don't think they'll all be ranked at the end of the year, but they could have been ranked when they played, yes. But, we're not here to argue Tech Florida anymore. We've argued that ad nauseum.
We
But
have We're Florida now.
Yes, but I think I do think I'd be surprised if this was Sharon Moore's last year. I would say that. I think that they're going to give him more time than just 1 year, unless they're forced to do something by the NCAA, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't think they're going to be forced any way with him. I think they'll get a postseason ban. I think they'll get reduced scholarships. They might have to vacate some victories, things like that. Sharon Moore, I don't see a show cause coming for him. I really don't. If it does, it'll be a 1-year show cause, I would imagine, and they'll probably elevate Tony Alford to interim head coach for a year and then keep Sharon Moore on staff, because I think they do. But the more and more that comes out, the more and more you see this team struggle to be a competent football team in any regards, the more it feels like Sharon Moore's just a fall guy. Like he got put in place to take the fall and to, weather the storm.
The sacrificial lamb.
He'll probably have 2 to 3 bad years before they fire him and bring in Rich Rodriguez or something like that.
Oh, no.
You can't bring in that retirement.
But we'll see. Another game tonight. We obviously we've hinted at it. But probably the biggest game of the weekend is the Alabama-LSU matchup in Death Valley. I've talked pretty extensively about my experiences in Death Valley and how that is not a place for the faint of heart to go. You look at it, I mean, I guess I'll open it up to you guys first. What are your guys' initial thoughts on that game and kind of what you expect to see down there in Baton Rouge?
For me, I want to see how Jalen Milroe handles it. There's some questions about the Alabama defense. I think Kane Womack will have the boys ready to go, but the thing that I think is the bigger issue here is how is LSU's depth on defense? Is LSU going to be able to match personnel groupings and be able to disguise what they're doing to try to confuse Milroe? The biggest thing is with Milroe, he's kind of like Carson Beck. You got to keep him in the pocket. You got to force him to make a decision, because whenever you force him right and he's running out of the pocket, that's no good.
Mm-hmm.
Not good for your defense. So when he sees a lot of the way they play coverage down there at Alabama, everybody wants to say the defense has totally changed from Nick Saban. I have a pretty good source that says it's pretty much the same thing. It's just what's being called. So it comes down to, can Milroe handle the pressure, which I think he can. It's just his decision making is what's going to make Alabama tick tonight.
I also just want to see how Garrett Nussmeier plays tonight. He's points per game, the offense, they're 34th in the nation, total offense 21st. I want to see how well he stacks up against that Alabama defense. I mean, they do have the crowd on their side in Death Valley. It's going to be a hostile environment for Alabama, and this is a pseudo playoff game, Carter. I mean, it's an elimination game for both teams, and I'm going to give the Bayou Bengals a slight edge tonight.
Yeah, I think. I mean,
and pressure's on Brian Kelly too.
Mm-hmm.
As much as Kalen DeBoer, but
it's more on Brian Kelly though, right? This is DeBoer's first year; he gets a little bit of a pass.
Well, No,
okay.
not at the University of Alabama. Just judging by the way that the fans have reacted, reading the message boards and talking to people down and around the area, you had former players calling people saying, "What's going on? This isn't Alabama." If Caleb DeBoer can't get it figured out, it's going to be early, and I don't like to try to call for guys' jobs in year one, but at Alabama they expect to go undefeated and make the playoffs every year.
Well, they've been spoiled with Saban for how many years?
I know he definitely has reset the expectation level for some fan bases, i.e. Florida. So with Urban Meyer, but we're Florida'd out now. But then again, you've got to me personally, realistically, for as much as they lost in the transfer portal, I think Alabama lost 36 scholarship players. Don't quote me on that, but they lost a lot of guys in the portal. Caleb Downs, Julian Sam. They lost major pieces in the transfer portal. So you got to give Kalen DeBoer a little bit of grace here, and maybe he can build it back into the power that it is. But on the other side of the coin, Brian Kelly, this is year 3. For him, this is big time shit or get off the pot, right? In my opinion, because they're spending a lot of resources at LSU.
Well, and I think everybody here and listening knows my feelings on Brian Kelly. He is an excellent coach in games he's supposed to win. In games he is maybe not supposed to win, one of the worst. He's right up there with James Franklin, in my opinion, as far as that goes. Big games are just not his thing. He did beat Alabama year 1, though. He did do that year 1 at LSU. But when you look at it, I think this game comes down to Jalen Milroe. Because when you look at LSU's defense, which has been a little suspect all year, not exactly lighting the world on fire or showing us they're barely top 50 in most statistical categories. But what they are decent against is the run. So they should have a decent game plan to slow down Alabama's running attack, which is going to put all the pressure on Jalen Milroe to be the passer that I think a lot of people thought he might grow into this year and hasn't shown. When you look at LSU's passing defense, they're barely top 100 in the country. And so that's an opportunity for Jalen Milroe to go out and really show out and show what he can do. As far as the game goes, I think it's going to be a fun game. Both teams score points, both top 30 in the country in scoring, right around top 30. And defenses are, Alabama's defense is much better at stopping people from scoring than LSU's. So if LSU is able to slow down Alabama and keep pace, I think it's going to be a very interesting game. And I think it comes down to Jalen Milroe's play. Can he protect the ball? Can he make plays? Can he stay on schedule? Because when he gets off schedule, he's really good. When he's running around, when he's scrambling, when he's making plays. But when he's doing his 3-step drop and get the ball out and he's trying to stay on schedule, he's not an accurate quarterback. He's not a great thrower in that situation. So if LSU can keep him in the pocket, can keep him contained, I think that gives LSU the best chance. And then I think other than Jalen Milroe, it comes down to coaching. And I don't know which coach I trust more in this situation. But at the end of the game, if it's a close game, there's going to be some coaching decisions, whether it's going for it on 4th down, whether it's going for 2 at the end of the game. That's how LSU beat Alabama year 1, is they went for 2 at the end of the game to go up instead of just tying the game. And I think those decisions are going to be huge, and they're going to be really magnified in a game like this.
And one last thing that I want to add on this is that when it comes down to the Nussmeier thing, also breaking news, Georgia Tech 14, Miami 10. So
let's go Ramblin' Wreck.
That game is going to shape up into something very, very interesting. So, but I like a little bit more experienced head coach than Ryan Kelly. I give the edge to the Bayou Bengals. They're bringing Mike the Tiger back for this game. So
cool. That's so cool. If you guys have, I wasn't on the field, but I when I went to LSU for the Florida game in 2005, I think, or 2007, one of those two, they had the Tiger on the field. Coolest thing in the world. I think that's awesome. And that environment is second to none. It is one of the most intense environments you could ever walk into. We've showed the videos on here. I think we got copyright issues for showing the video, actually. But we showed the videos on here of the environment, just the lights, the theatrics, the pyrotechnics, everything that they do down there. And I showed it to show Midwest fans, this is what's possible. Like, no schools up north are doing this stuff, and they need to. I think Notre Dame does a decent job. They actually do a better job than Ohio State at their in-game experience as far as that goes. But it's going to be a fun game. Brian Kelly with an opportunity to really solidify his team as a college football playoff contender. And then the other night game we're obviously paying attention to is in South Bend, Indiana. We talked about it on Wednesday. That game is going to hopefully, for all Notre Dame fans out there, hopefully that game is going to be an absolute bludgeoning of Florida State, because when you look at it in the film room, when you look at it on paper, when you look at the analytics of things, Notre Dame is by far the better team. It's not even close. This Florida State team might be one of the worst teams to ever grace a football field. And I say that not lightly or jokingly. They really are that bad. They're the only team that I can find that's statistically worse than them is the Kent State Golden Flashes.
Shout out Kent State.
Yeah. And so when you look at that game, I mean, Florida State can't score, only averaging 14 points a game. Florida State can't stop people from scoring. They can't stop people from passing. They can't stop people from running. They really just can't do anything that you would want a football team to do. So I don't have the – let me get the spread real quick. You know what the spread is, Duke?
For
Notre Dame, Florida State.
Notre Dame, Florida State, I will have that. Yes,
No.
it's 24 and a hook.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame covers that, if I'm being honest. Notre Dame has been pretty decent against the spread this year, other than obviously Northern Illinois. But, you know, they were favored by, I want to say, something similar
28.
against Purdue or against Northern Illinois. They were favored by
Northern
28.
Illinois, Purdue was 14 and a hook, I believe, whenever that.
And they beat Purdue 66-7, which when I look at major college football programs that are in the Big Four or whatever conference, I don't know how many conferences there are anymore.
Big Four.
When you look at Big Four teams, Purdue is the closest thing I can find to Florida State, just how bad they are on the field. And Notre Dame put it on Purdue 66-7. So that's the type of performance I'm expecting out of the Fighting Irish today. I think Riley Leonard has an opportunity today to really shut a lot of people up, myself included. Please, Riley Leonard, shut me up. I'm sick of talking about how he can't throw the ball downfield. Today lines up perfectly for him to take shots downfield, get Jordan Faison in the mix early and often downfield, get Chris Mitchell downfield. Hell, Bo Collins, are you alive? Can you run downfield? Can anybody run downfield and catch a pass 20 yards or more? That's all I want to see.
Anybody get open?
Yeah, that's all I want to see. They're going to run the ball effectively. That's what they do. But I want to see some downfield passing. I want to see some guys get open and make plays, man. Just have fun and show out. This should be an easy game. It makes me sick saying it because I know now it's not going to be an easy game. But when you look at it, and real quick before we wrap up, if you're out there on Twitter or YouTube, get on YouTube and make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. We got a good group out there, everybody in here in the lounge listening. I appreciate everybody showing up and showing out here and enjoying some cigars while we talk a little college football and watch some of the early games. But head to our YouTube. You can find us on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, The Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith, PodBean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can find it pretty much everywhere. Like and subscribe and get into the YouTube chat. We love interacting. We had a great show pretty much every night this week with interactions from the chat and everything like that. So appreciate everybody tuning in and tuning out. Boys, before we get out of here, anything else you're really watching today or looking for?
We got one game that we haven't talked about.
Okay, I'm interested.
There's a game in Salt Lake City. There's the Holy War.
Ooh,
We got the Utah Utes taking on the BYU Cougs.
Wait, you said it wrong. It's Utah versus BYU.
BYU.
And then just so everybody knows, he wore the shirt. I'm allowed to say it. But he's taking on, he got BYU taking on the Utah Utes, Battle of the Mormon Towns. That one will be interesting. I haven't dove into that one a lot. Obviously, BYU, number 9 team in the college football playoffs. Utah having a really, really down year. I mean, I thought they'd be much better. I thought they'd be competing for the Big 12 title. And they're at 4-4, but you got BYU favored by 3 points heading into Salt Lake City. What are your thoughts on that?
Utah has had a really rough year. Their offensive coordinator stepped down. Zach Wilson's brother, cannot think of Isaac Wilson.
There you go.
Isaac Wilson at Utah.
God, he looks just like Zach.
Yeah, he looks exactly
gosh.
like him. The Mormon MILF Hunter's brother is the starting quarterback. He was a 4-star. I think he got a little bump
Yeah.
because of who his brother is, and you have that aspect of it because his brother went to BYU.
Yeah.
There's a certain aspect that I think he really wants to beat BYU, but I don't see it. This is a huge rivalry. They call it the Holy War, so there's a reason for that. It's the Mormons versus the less Mormons. So we will.
Who do you think John Smith is rooting for?
That is a very
Dum-dum-dum-dum.
that is a very interesting question. So
No, only I can read them.
So
It's Magic Hat.
we are
But-
we are entering into the closeout of the show.
Yeah.
but
Well,
just
I did
wanna-
have one question about Isaac Wilson.
Yes.
Obviously he's the Mormon MILF hunter's brother.
Yes.
Do you think he tag teams the MILFs?
I don't know. I don't know if
Like you think there's some Eiffel Towering going on?
Oh,
Or?
Oh, yeah.
well, it's probably as soon as Zach left BYU.
Yeah.
So, but at that point, that is the latest game that I'll probably be watching. For the people out there on the playoff side of it, you have Washington State taking on Utah State tonight, and the reason why I think that game is of importance, if Washington State keeps on winning, I believe their only loss is to BYU at BYU, so that could have maybe some implications on the playoffs. Maybe if Washington State wins out, they could maybe fall into getting into that conversation as a Pac-2 team.
And just to correct you, their only loss is to Boise State. They haven't played BYU. They don't play BYU.
Yes.
But when you look at their schedule, here's why Washington State is of no consequence. They don't play literally anybody. They played Sisters of the Poor, Texas Tech, Washington,
San Jose State.
Boise State, Fresno State, Hawaii, San Diego State, Utah State,
Yeah, they're
Nevada, Oregon State. Why? It literally us three could go out there and go 11-1 versus schedule.
I don't know. I think
I got Richie at wide receiver. I can get him the ball.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of the bigger issues this year has been the conference realignment.
Well, you're part of the Pac-2. You don't count.
Well, part of with some of the schools out there, I think you had Ole Miss this year, Wake Forest, Furman, Middle Tennessee State. You had these power schools that had to go schedule the group of 5 teams, more than usual. I thought because USC, Washington, Oregon, a lot of schools had to change their scheduling around.
Yeah.
So
Well, we talked about that because a lot of people are giving Ohio State a bunch of shit for having a weak schedule. And the bottom line is they had out-of-conference games scheduled with Washington.
yes,
Washington became a Big Ten team. They could no longer play that game as
Yes.
an out-of-conference game. It just wasn't allowed. So then you're scrambling, and you can't go out and get a Texas. They already have games scheduled.
Yeah.
You have to go out and you have to go get these group of 5 teams, these Western Michigans, Akrons, that you offer them $1.5 million. They're going to rearrange their schedule to make sure that you fit on the schedule. And so that hurts some of these schools for sure. But at the end of the day, Washington State's part of the Pac-2. I don't think they have a shot in hell of making the playoffs. I don't care if they're 11-1. And they're facing 2-6 Utah State. They should win. They're favored by 20.5. If they don't win this game, that's just more of a reason for them to just nobody to ever talk about them again, honestly.
Also, I'm on board with going to the Pac-2 or the 6-pack media day because they had an open bar last year.
I think we could probably get credentials for that. There's probably not a lot of people trying. So I think we could do that. But again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and hanging out with us. If you could just go online, hit the like and subscribe button, retweet us, whatever, all that fun stuff. And another note, we do have another live show coming up December 7th at Cigario Lounge in Hubbard, Ohio. It'll be at noon as well. That is Championship Saturday. So we'll be going live right as the Big 12 Championship kicks off, leading into obviously the Big 10 title game, the SEC title game, as we get ready for Selection Sunday. That Sunday, the playoff committee will be putting the 12 teams that are going to go to the playoffs in the first 12-team playoff out there on Sunday. So we'll get to watch it all unfold in front of our eyes and live stream it on YouTube. Again, find us on social media, The Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. We're everywhere. Thanks again, man. I had a blast. This was great, man.
Great. I had a good time. Glad you guys were able to come up.
Yeah. And if you do get a chance, Cigar 30 in Canton, Ohio, come hang out, grab a stick, and light up. Watch some football, hang out. A lot of good people, a lot of good selection of cigars, and their bourbon selection surprisingly good. But
$14 Blanton's, can't beat it.
$14 Blanton's, absolutely. So thanks again, and if you guys are good, I think we'll close out on that.
I'm good too.
All right, everybody have a great day. Enjoy college football Saturday.
Thanks for watching, guys.